Fired Buffs coach kept Ryan Staub at Colorado after Shedeur Sanders transfer. Fired Buffs coach kept Ryan Staub at Colorado after Shedeur Sanders' transfer originally appeared on the Sporting News. One of the many former Colorado Buffalo staffers that Deion Sanders let go during the transition from the 2022 season to 2023's primetime debut in Boulder helped keep Ryan Staub at CU. Shedeur Sanders' arrival alongside his father meant Staub lost an opportunity to start that had been available to him when he committed to the program under Karl Dorrell in January 2022, some 9 months before the ex-head coach's firing. Mike Sanford, the first-year offensive coordinator who was not retained by Coach Prime and replaced by Sean Lewis and Pat Shurmur, reportedly counseled Staub the past 2 years. Sanford has not worked for any organization during that time and was hired at Valor Christian High School in Highlands Ranch, Colorado, for the 2025 season. Sanford, now the coach at Valor Christian High in Colorado, has an admitted bias. He's the coach who recruited Staub out of Southern California and helped persuade him to commit to Colorado about 10 months before Sanders arrived in Boulder. Sanford also counseled Staub after Sanders brought his son Shedeur with him to quarterback the Buffaloes in 2023 and 2024, USA Today's Brent Schrottenborg wrote. Staub has burst onto the national scene at Colorado in his third year after coming in against the Delaware Fightin' Blue Hens this past Saturday as the third quarterback on the depth chart and seemingly earning the start for their Week 3 matchup with the Houston Cougars. Coach Prime has been hesitant to name Staub the starter, but most expect him to get the nod after Deion's Martin Luther Staub speech following the 31-7 win over Delaware. While Sanford no longer does unpaid work for Coach Prime's staff, he did the most important work of his career while Shedeur was stealing headlines and breaking program records, helping CU retain their potential starting signal caller for a critical 2025 season, Ryan Staub. The morning sun had barely crept over the Flatirons, those jagged guardians of Boulder, when the story began to take shape. For weeks, whispers had drifted through the Colorado football program. The Buffs' quarterback room was changing, reshuffling, and perhaps even unraveling. The transfer of Shedeur Sanders, the face of the program, the son of the man who transformed the team from a laughingstock into a spectacle, had sent shockwaves across the NCAA landscape. But beneath the drama and headlines, one quieter tale rose like smoke from a campfire. It was the story of Ryan Staub, the young quarterback who chose to stay, and the fired coach who convinced him. Chapter 1. The Fallout of a Departure. Shedeur Sanders' departure had been inevitable, at least to those who could read the signs. NFL chatter buzzed around him like bees around a spring blossom. Scouts loved his arm, analysts adored his composure, and fans, well, they simply believed he was destined for something greater than Boulder. His transfer, cloaked in polite press releases and social media farewell posts, left the Buffaloes in limbo. For head coach Deion Sanders, Coach Prime, the move was bittersweet. On one hand, he had groomed his son for this moment. On the other, his program lost its brightest star. The media wanted to talk about Deion's legacy, the future of Colorado football, and who would lead the offense now that Shedeur was gone. But nobody asked about Ryan Staub. Staub wasn't flashy. He wasn't born into fame. He wasn't even supposed to be the guy. He was simply the other quarterback, the one who threw quietly in practice, studied film late at night, and waited for an opportunity that never seemed to arrive. Then came the firing. A staff shakeup rippled through the Buffaloes program, casualties of unmet expectations and the brutal business of college football. Among those dismissed was quarterbacks coach Marcus Henderson, a name few outside of Boulder would recognize. But Henderson had built a bond with Staub that went beyond the chalkboard. He saw in the young man a fighter, someone who would stay even when brighter stars left. And in his final act before packing up his office, Henderson planted a seed. Chapter 2. The Conversation. The locker room was almost empty when Henderson called Staub over. His box of belongings sat beside him, framed photos, a few binders stuffed with game plans, and a whistle that looked worn enough to have survived multiple coaching lifetimes. "Sit, Ryan," Henderson said, gesturing to the bench. Staub obeyed, nervous. "You know why I wanted to talk to you?" Henderson asked. "I guess, because Shedeur's gone," Staub replied, his voice uncertain. "That's part of it," Henderson nodded. "But it's bigger than that. Everyone thinks this program was built on one man. But teams don't work that way. Teams are built on guys who stay when it's easier to leave. Guys like you." Staub frowned. "Coach, with you gone, with Shedeur gone, I don't even know if they'll want me here. I've heard the transfer rumors." Maybe I should. Don't, Henderson interrupted firmly. That's what I wanted to tell you. Don't run. Not yet. Boulder has a way of testing you. The wind here is sharp, the winters are long, and the critics are louder than the fans. But if you stick it out, you'll own this place in a way no transfer ever could. The words sank deep, like roots finding soil. Staub didn't answer right away, but his silence was enough. When Henderson left that day, the program lost a coach, but Staub gained a conviction. Chapter 3: Living in the Shadow. It wasn't easy. Every time Staub walked across campus, students wore Sanders jerseys, not his. Every time he opened Twitter, his timeline was filled with highlights of Shedeur at his new school, or in mock draft boards projecting him as the next NFL star. Even practices carried an air of comparison. Reporters would huddle near the field, cameras ready, wondering aloud if Colorado's quarterback situation could recover. Staub threw passes with precision. He studied the playbook until midnight. He hit the weight room harder than ever. Still, it felt like he was invisible. But invisibility, he realized, had its perks. He could grow quietly, away from the glare of expectations. He could make mistakes without becoming a headline. Slowly, the trust of his teammates followed. Offensive linemen slapped his helmet after good throws. Receivers invited him to extra drills. Even defensive backs started testing him harder in practice, a sign of respect. He was no longer just the other guy. He was Ryan Staub, the quarterback who stayed. Chapter 4: Boulder Believes. By mid-season, the narrative began to shift. Colorado fans, once dazzled by the Sanders spectacle, found themselves charmed by Staub's resilience. Sports writers began using words like steady, underrated, and blue-collar to describe him. One column even dubbed him the anti-Shedeur, not in talent, but in style. Where Shedeur commanded attention like a rock star, Staub worked in silence like a craftsman. Where Shedeur made headlines with flashy throws, Staub made third-down conversions look routine. It wasn't glamorous, but it worked. Boulder, with its unique blend of rugged independence and communal pride, began to see Staub as a reflection of itself. Fans in ski jackets and Buffalo's caps chanted his name at Folsom Field. Local diners named sandwiches after him. The quarterback who almost left became the quarterback who defined the new era.